An opportunity to go sit in and ask a few questions. We turn it over now to Anderson Cooper in Atlanta. Anderson.
Miles, thanks very much. Miles will be attending that press conference. Obviously, CNN will be carrying the press conference to you at home live. As Miles noted, that should be in about 4 or 5 minutes from now. At the same time that press conference will be going on, hundreds of investigators, police, military officials, really anyone working in local law enforcement throughout Texas are undertaking some very gruesome, some very detailed work right now, combing large swaths of land, looking for the debris from the Space Shuttle Columbia that has been found in places large and small over the last 24 hours or so. Another place we're going to go right now before the press conference is to Gary Tuckman, who's standing by at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Gary, a lot of very sad people around the country, no doubt a lot of very sad people there this morning as well.
Well, that's right, Anderson. And for many of the tourists who've come here to the Kennedy Space Center, the enormity of what has happened did not hit home until they got here, until they got to this black granite memorial behind me with the names of all the U.S. astronauts who've died over the years in service of their country. And what they're allowing the tourists to do here is sign condolence books. It's made a lot of people feel a lot better. It's starting to get slightly dark out here, so the crowd isn't as large as it was before, but at times there were 100 people in line. And we can give you an idea of what some people are writing. I'm going to move this replica of the space shuttle to read a couple of these letters to you, which are very poignant and interesting. We thank you for your sacrifice for the good of us all, the name of the family here. And this from 3 children. We will always remember them, Miranda, Gwyneth. And Gwyneth, you could see, signed her name with her 4-year-old handwriting, and I know it's
Spaceman. Each crew member was allowed to take along 10 small personal items.
Of course, I took several special things.
Space shuttle. You can see here all the flowers that people have put here over the last 2 days. This has become a makeshift memorial. No surprise, since the huge black granite memorial is here. But we have candles, we have flags, and flowers from all over the world. I've talked to people from every continent except Antarctica who've come here today. And with us, people from the North American continent, Texarkana, Texas to be exact. This is Merle, this is Doris. Doris, let me ask you first, what made you decide to come here today?
We watched the launch, and we really wanted to see the land.
Chew sauce stacked on a soft bakery roll. Beyond.
Ramon was one of the pilots that took part in the daring 1981 attack on the nuclear reactor near Osirek in Iraq. During his long career, he chalked up thousands of hours of flight.
Completely redo them. The results.
Memorial with the names of the astronauts who perished over the years, and knowing these 7. How does that make you feel?
Very sad.
Merle, let me ask you, when you heard the news, how did you feel?
Yes, I have.
How did it make you feel when you heard the news?
Well, with all the activity that's going on in the world, a lot of things flashes through your mind. I have a lot of empathy for the president on having to deal with all the problems that he has. But it was an absolute tragedy. We saw the liftoff when we left Texarkana, and we're hopeful to be out here. But like Doris said, our plans were changed. But ironically, the remains of the spacecraft dropped in our area in Texarkana.
And that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you. And knowing that, have you talked to anyone back home who was anywhere near any of the wreckage?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we were notified on cell phone by our son, who lives in Texarkana, owns a business in Texarkana, and that's where we heard it from, was on the cell phone, because we were at Disney World. And he indicated, of course, he heard the sonic booms, and everybody was, very sad.
Final question I want to ask you, how does it make you feel being here? Does it make you feel better? Does it make you feel sadder? How does it make you feel?
Yeah, it does. It reflects this is a great country, and we've had these losses before, and we've always come through. But it is very, very, sad with the people aboard, the aircraft. But it's a very sad feeling. I spent 22 years in the Air Force, and I have a feeling we've had our accidents while we were in the Air Force, and we've lost, loved ones that we worked with. So it's a special feeling, and everybody is so attached, to the program. You feel a part of it, you know what I mean?
Ramon and Doris, thank you for talking with me. I appreciate it. I want to show our viewers one more note that was left here just a short time ago, right over here. And this is just an example of what we've been seeing for much of the day. You never made it to Earth, but you made it home in heaven. You are our heroes. We love you. Keep up the good work. talking about when it hit home, when people realized this. When this hit home for us is when we arrived here about 2 hours after the disaster. I saw a family coming in here to the visitor center here at the Kennedy Space Center, and they said to me, are we late? Are we too late to watch the landing of the Space Shuttle Columbia? This is 2 hours after the crash. And I said to them, yeah, you are too late. And there were 2 children in the car, so I don't want to be that specific. And the woman said, oh, what time did it land? And then I quietly came up to her and I said, I have some bad news for you. The space shuttle crashed and it appears all the astronauts died. And with that, she burst into tears. And that's when it hit home for us. Anderson, back to you.
Yeah, Gary, I think all of us have moments where we sort of think when the reality of it really struck. I want to ask you, you've been there really all day now, and you mentioned the children in that car. You know, when you read the biographies of so many of these astronauts, just about all of them will, talk about wanting to be an astronaut from the time they were very young. Commander Husband, who commanded the Space Shuttle Columbia, I believe said he knew from the time he was 4 years old he wanted to be an astronaut. His dream finally came true. The children you run across, does it? Do they still have those same dreams of being an astronaut, or is there a sense of fear of going to space? Or I mean, the ones you see today, what sort of reaction have they been having?
Anderson, it's funny that you're asking me that question, because that's something we've been asking some of the children yesterday and today since we've been here. We've been talking about how a lot of these astronauts, that was their dream from when they were children to become astronauts. Do you want to be an astronaut? And sadly, I haven't had one child say to me, I want to be an astronaut. They instead say, no, this is scary what happened yesterday. I wouldn't want to be an astronaut. And that's disappointing and, in a way, quite distressing to hear children talk like that.
All right, Gary Tuckman, thanks very much. Great reports all day long.